any area of life, not just this, in any area of life. Yeah.
Our next question is Alexandra Brooks.
Hi, I'm from joincitro.com.au. You've called out social media platforms for being offensive, but surely it's Australia's banks that have behaved the most offensively over the last few years, letting criminals set up accounts that steal hard-working Australians' money while blaming and then refusing to refund scam victims. Victims like Levin Salaberry, who's asked me to share his story today, he had $91,650 stolen from his Commonwealth Bank account last year, ironically by another Commonwealth Bank mule account. And in a letter to Levin offering him $4,582.50 goodwill payment for his loss, the bank told him, and I quote from the letter, "The bank is under no obligation to maintain watching briefs for scams for their customers' benefits." As part of your focus on prevention, will the banks be forced to stop letting criminals set up mule accounts that do not meet the 100 points of identity that enable all scams, whether they start on a social media or telco? And will the banks be forced to refund scam victims?
Yeah, thanks. Great question, and thanks for sharing a personal story. I've also heard thousands of them, and every one of them breaks my heart. Sympathy is not enough. Action is required. And it's exactly why the response that you got from that bank is exactly why I want to change the law. It's exactly why I want to change the law, because the law is currently not fit for purpose. If I could finish. The law is not currently fit for purpose because it's questionable at the moment whether that general obligation...
Correct.
I want to make it unquestionable.
And
I want to put it beyond doubt that there is an obligation in all of the areas you've mentioned, including the detection and elimination of mule accounts.
And Levin's loss occurred last year, and he's still not been refunded.
Yeah.
And he's...
Look, I can't comment.
I
Thank you.
totally agree.
No, I can't comment on an individual case. It could well be before a tribunal. It could well be subject to a regulator investigation, as we are. But the general point I want to make is the example you've given and the thousands of others that I've heard fortify me that we have to change the law because it's not currently fit for purpose.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our final question today is from Ben Westcott from Bloomberg, but he has been struck down with illness, so Morris Riley is asking on his behalf.
I think he's got the flu. He apologised for not being here. Anyway, he's got an easy question.
Now I'm worried, Morris.
Don't shoot the messenger. Today's ABS figures show insurance costs for Australians dropped in the June quarter compared to the previous months, but they still grew by about 14% overall. What's the government doing, if anything, to try and curb these staggering insurance rises?
Thanks. Thank you for the question. We've got a task force underway, jointly working on myself, the new Emergency Services Minister, Jenny McAllister, and the Prime Minister and his department. Insurance is the crystallised cost of a risk. And there's the most effective thing you can do to reduce underlying the cost of an insurance premium is to address the underlying risks. So that's where the majority of our effort is focused on. So we all know, everyone in this room knows that Australia has been subject to more and more severe weather events. It's the impact of climate change. We've got building codes that are not fit for practice. In a changing environment, we've got infrastructure which is not fit for the job. So we've got a big job. We've got a big job to do. So careful what we're not doing with it. We've got a big job to do to uplift our resilience. A lot of work is going into that, but the task force is looking at what other measures we may be able to put in place to ensure that insurance is more affordable for Australians. We should do it because it's in the public interest, but too often where there's not private insurance, the government becomes the insurer of last resort. It's a public interest, a public good, and a fiscal interest in us improving insurance affordability across the country, and I thank you for the question.
Thank you, Minister.
All right, please join me, I should say, in thanking the Assistant Treasurer, Stephen Jones.